So I said goodbye to the group. The uranium is still in the ground. Let it stay there. So this business of raw materials is very, very dangerous. Now, finally, we have now started entering the knowledge economy. Not only adding value to the raw materials, but transforming them into finished products. Like now we are making buses, they can show them to you here if they have them. Because some of these people here are highly educated, the engineers. So we have challenged them and they are coming up. Those buses are built from the scratch here. That bus is called Kira. Kira is our name for the Nile. The Nile River, we call it, in our language here, we call it Kira. So a Kira vehicle is that one there. They can also show you the agriculture. Show us the bananas. Now, when there was a war in Ukraine, people were saying that there was going to be no food in Uganda. I said, you must be sick. How can Uganda get food from Ukraine? We have a lot of food here. Our problem with the market, where to sell the food. So the bananas, the coffee, do you have the coffee on your screen? Those are coffee factories. The cows, show the cows. Do you have cows? You don't have cows, you people? So we are struggling. The story of coffee is really scandalous. The global value of coffee is $460 billion. But all the coffee producing countries, out of the 460 billion, they share 25 billion. They take away 25 billion. Value 460 billion. The coffee growing countries, all of them, African ones, Vietnam, Brazil, they take only 25 billion. And Africa, 2.5 billion only. Germany earns more from coffee than all the coffee growing countries. Germany earns $65 billion from coffee. Yet they don't produce a single kilo of coffee. Show us the cows, please. You don't have the cows? And the factories of the milk factories, not just the cow. Those are the indigenous Nile Valley cows. But those are the factories of the milk. So we are now in what I would call phase 5, where we are entering the knowledge economy. Automobiles, vaccines, computers, making all those instead of importing them. In diversifying the economy, we had to struggle with the big portion of the population that was outside the money economy, and we are only producing for home consumption. By 2013, these were still 68% of the homesteads. By 2013, 68% of the homesteads were still outside the money economy. Apart from earlier programs, we had to bring in the army. Because the problem with you see, Uganda, the climate is so good, life is easy, you don't have to work. You can just be idle and you eat from your relatives. So it's a struggle to make them wake up. So we had to bring in the army and Operation Wealth Creation to distribute free seedlings of coffee or fruits to the homesteads, as well as breeding stock. Later on, we phased out the army and started the formation of the circles of wealth creators per parish. We guide that these wealth creators select enterprises with ekibaro. Ekibaro is our word for calculating the benefit. Ekibaro is, in Swahili they will say esabu. They should select enterprises that are in tandem with the size of the land of the wealth creator. The ones with big land are flexible and either do extensive agriculture, doing a low value enterprise but do it on a big scale, or use intensive agriculture, doing high value enterprise on small pieces of land. Activities that fall in the latter category are the ones of high value are coffee, fruits, dairy farming, piggery, poultry, fish farming, and growing food crops. Recently, our people have added cocoa and palm oil. Palm oil, show us that palm oil if you have it. You can imagine that all the soap we were washing with was from palm oil from Malaysia and Indonesia. So if there is a problem in Malaysia or Indonesia, we would end up not washing. So we started growing the palm oil. They can show it to you when they get it. Using intensive agriculture, a 1 acre model can create jobs for 15 people. You are talking about jobs. Agriculture alone, here in Uganda, we have found that if you commercialize it, you will create a lot of jobs in agriculture. 1 acre, well planned for intensive agriculture for dairy or poultry, creates 15 jobs. Uganda has got 40 million acres suitable for agriculture. If we use only 7 million of these acres, and each one creates 15 jobs, 105 million jobs will be created. 105 million jobs will be created in agriculture alone. This is more jobs for the whole population of Uganda than the whole population of Uganda. Population of Uganda is now 46 million. But you can create 105 million jobs by using just 1/4 of the Arab land of Uganda. This is just for agriculture, commercial agriculture. Commercial agriculture as opposed to subsistence agriculture, okukora ekida kyonka. However, the wealth and jobs are not only to be got in agriculture. There are 3 other sectors which are industry and artisanship, manufacturing, factories like the ones you saw. That is palm oil. That is palm oil. Palm oil needs a lot of rain. But palm oil was exported from Nigeria and taken to Indonesia and Malaysia. And they now became the big producers of palm oil. Even we were importing the palm oil from Malaysia and Indonesia until recently when we started doing palm oil ourselves. So there are sectors, other sectors other than agriculture, manufacturing and artisanship, services, hotels, tourism, what have you, and ICT. We treat ICT as a separate sector. As of now, agriculture is employing 3.6 million people. Industry is employing 1.4 million people. Services are employing 5 million people. And ICT is employing 46,000 people. We are just beginning, but you can see jobs can be created. The hotels, tourism, transport is employing a lot of people. In order for the 4 sectors to be fully developed so as to create wealth and jobs, they need low-cost transport, the railway and the lake transport. Part of the mistakes in Africa have been to neglect the railways. And this is what I told the World Bank when we met in Nairobi. How can you talk of private sector-led growth if you don't talk about lowering the costs of doing business? Now, some of the factors that
Life is a hustle, and you're always on the go. You require the right data bundle to keep you connected with the things you care about.
So, rail transport, lake transport, electricity, an educated and healthy workforce, stopping the export of raw materials, low cost of money for borrowing to do business, a big market of Africa and beyond. Now, those are the obstacles that you should really concentrate on. Here, I have not gone into it here because this is a short speech. But fortunately, I had made this statement in Nairobi when we had the TICAD, a meeting with the Japanese there, the Prime Minister of Japan. In all this time we have been around as a student movement in the 1960s, as a fighting force, and now having been in government, and also working with our brothers from Africa. Mwalimu Nyerere, We interacted with him a lot. Shavyarira from Zimbabwe. We have been able to, we think we have identified the bottlenecks, strategic bottlenecks. Now in this booklet, which they will give you, we have identified 10 bottlenecks. Bottleneck number 1, ideological disorientation. The belief in the politics of identity. This is the big curse in Africa. People who believe in the politics of identity. Tribe, religion. For us, we say this is wrong. You should look at the politics of interests. It is all mentioned here. Because of that, you find many countries cannot build state institutions. They cannot build pillars of state. How would you build an army if you believe in tribalism? Will you have an army for every tribe? If you don't believe in Uganda, how would you have a Uganda army? Now, if you don't have an army, what happens? You can't maintain peace. That's why people have got to go to the United Nations to come and defend them. Can you imagine? UN troops in Africa, what are they doing? Defending you. Why can't you defend yourself? Because of the wrong, the underdevelopment of the human resource, lack of industrialization, and the export of the raw materials, which we have talked about here. Now, but also, these Ugandans can tell you that when you wake up a bit and start doing some work, you will soon find that the internal market of Uganda is not enough. Like the milk I'm talking about. We are producing 5.3 billion liters of milk, but the internal market is only 800 million liters. If we didn't have the East African community, the dairy sector in Uganda would have collapsed. Sugar, show us the sugar if you have the sugar there on your pictures. Sugar. What saves us is the East African market. So, you people, you must emphasize regional integration for the market, so that we have got, our business people have got guaranteed markets. And so on, there are 10, they are all here in this booklet. Now, finally, by removing the bottlenecks, you will create capacity for socio-economic transformation, not mere quantitative growth, sustainable growth. Because when you say sustainable development, can a child remain a child sustainably? That is a child sustainably. A child at puberty must transform into a teenager. A teenager must transform into an adult. This is the law of nature. Quantitative growth leading to qualitative change. But if you are a raw material exporting country, how would you transform? So I'm very glad that you are beginning to use in our vocabulary the words transformation. We must go from pre-industrial to industrial societies. I talked a little bit. I talked about it the other day with the leaders. How can you have a peasant producing another peasant? Until when? The peasant must disappear and we have the middle class. In Francais, we say bourgeoisie. The peasant must go, and we have bourgeoisie and proletariat, the working class, skilled working class. Europe has transformed. If you go to Europe in 1400, there had three classes. They had the peasants, the artisans, and the feudalists. By the time of the French Revolution, Francais, 1789, there were now four social classes. The feudalists, there was now a new class which never existed in human history, the middle class. Classe moyenne, you say? That's how you say? Classe moyenne. Bourgeoisie. These were a new social class. And then the proletariat, the working class. And then the peasants. But if you go to Europe today, there are no more feudalists. There are no more peasants. It is now class moyenne and the skilled working class. Society has changed. But here, we are engaged in conservation of underdevelopment. A peasant producing another peasant. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. Can we put our hands together and once again appreciate the President for that educative presentation that has given us how Uganda has moved, but definitely the story can be extrapolated to look at other countries in Africa. So thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that insightful presentation. And indeed, like he presented, Uganda's story after independence is more or less like what happened to the other countries in Africa. Our countries were characterized by a number of issues: neo-colonial interference, bad governance, conflicts and social disruption, lack of progress, among other challenges. Probably what he didn't emphasize, that President Yoweri Museveni, as a young person, as a student, was not happy with what he was seeing in terms of how the country and the continent was moving. And he put up a challenge and started a resistance movement and challenged the status quo and rewrote the history of this country by starting a new chapter. And I want to thank you, Your Excellency, that by the time you inherited this country, Uganda was like a patient that was surviving on oxygen and steroids. And like you heard from his presentation, Uganda is on a forward march, And when we look at the quality of life indicators, they continue to improve tremendously in the last 30, 40 years. And we give credit to our president who has led us very well.
Excuse-moi. Just one comment. Really, the solutions are with us. I had forgotten to mention this. We had some argument with the Europeans recently. We passed a law which was discouraging homosexuality here. Then Mr. Biden removed us from the AGOA list. He chased us. That was one. Number two, the World Bank stopped giving us loans. But our economy grew by 6%. We are not bothered with all that. What is crucial for me, of all this, apart from our own mistakes, the next most important thing is regional integration. If we avoid internal mistakes and we are clear about the regional integration, the regional market, there is nothing, all that things that happen outside will not concern us. I thought I should mention that one also. The economy of Uganda has been growing very fast with or without external support. But with the external support, now they have come back. They say we are good people. So we say you are most welcome. Thank you very much. Sorry to
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that additional information. And we appreciate you, sir, for your leadership. As I was saying, that under the leadership of President Yoweri Museveni, the quality of life indicators in Uganda have tremendously improved. If I can just give one example, that in the late 80s, early 90s, because of HIV and AIDS and other challenges, our life expectancy at birth had dropped to 43 years. But our recent studies, including the census, have shown that over the time, this has now increased to 72 years. And for those of you who are scholars, this is phenomenal. From 43 years, and a period of about 30, 40 years, it has increased to 72 years. Can we appreciate that? Your Excellency, we thank you. We thank you very much for your educative presentation. As we come to the conclusion of the opening ceremony, let me once again recognize the members of Parliament from different countries in Africa who are here. There are those who belong to the Parliamentary Forum on Climate Change, and they have been here having discussions. Your Excellency, we also have our religious leaders. The various interreligious councils in Africa are here, including our own from Uganda. Maybe you could wave our presidents. Yeah, they are seated on the extreme left of my side. You are welcome, and thank you for participating in this conference. Allow me, Your Excellency, and the distinguished delegates to also recognize Her Excellency, the First Lady of Uganda, who is also the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Museveni. We want to thank you and appreciate you for having come to be with us this morning. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of the opening ceremony, and we shall have to leave the room in reverse order. We shall allow Our Excellency the Presidents and members on the podium to exit first, and then the rest of us will follow as we go for the coffee break. We are going to have a group photograph at the steps outside this conference hall, and the photo will have Our Excellencies on the podium, the former heads of state and government, our Right Honorable Prime Minister, and all the honorable ministers present here, the heads of delegations of the various countries and organizations present, our religious leaders, and the honorable members of parliament. So we shall gather at the steps outside, and we take a group photograph with our presidents who are here with us. We shall break off for coffee, and according to the program, we had allocated 30 minutes, but in the interest of catching up with time, once our presidents have taken the coffee, if they do that in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we shall get back. Why? Because the chair of the next session is none other than the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. We shall have a presidential dialogue having our distinguished excellencies under the chairmanship of our President of Uganda in that dialogue. So let's break off for coffee, but once our presidents are ready, if it is before 30 minutes, we shall come, assemble, and then we go into that interesting part of the conversation today, the presidential dialogue, where we are going to interrogate all these issues regarding the socio-economic transformation of Africa. So with that, I invite our Excellency, the Presidents and members on the podium to lead us as we get out to take the photograph. Thank you very much, and may God bless all of you.